Countdown. A countdown's crazy. Welcome back, everybody. We were just patiently waiting for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to leave the screen. We've got Isaac coming on today. He'll be here in a few minutes. Figured we'd jump on. There's a cold front in the States. It's about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 degrees Fahrenheit where I'm at in Texas right now. And I know Playa's had some weather, but we always have a tough time talking about the weather because I don't know what the hell Celsius is. So I don't know. Maybe we should look it up.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, I have the hard time of like understanding Fahrenheit. Like to me, like 32 is freezing. It's a positive number, so it's just weird for me. So I think like right now it's I think it's like 24 degrees. It was raining all day yesterday down here, so it's just like everything was just muggy. The nice part about when it rains though is our pool gets nice and full. So because when we clean it, the way that we vacuum out the bottom of it is you have to like the water goes into like the city sewage and stuff like that. You just drains water out. So I'm always constantly having to add water and drain water, and of course it takes 10 times longer with a garden hose filling it than it does sucking it out of a big hose like this. So it's been it's sunny today. We got some nice weather. It's a bit humid, bit muggy, but it's expected after a big rainstorm. And
for sure.
I'm recovering from a bit of a cold right now, so I'm a little red face, a little sweaty, a little sore throat. I might have to pause myself every now and then to sneeze and cough. I got Kleenex beside me just in case, but the show must go on.
The show must go on, yeah. Something like that, yeah. Yeah, I just looked at the conversion here. So it's 23 Celsius and it is 3 here. So that kind of puts things in perspective a little bit. So it is nice and warm where you're at, or warmish or warm. Okay, that's enough talk about the weather. People are gonna be like, I didn't listen today to hear you guys talking about what the weather's like. What else has been going on down there?
It's been a very busy I consider this the first week back into the new year, because right after New Year's, I think this first, second, and third were Thursday, Friday, and then it was the weekend, so no one's really doing anything like that. But I've been pre-scheduled out as far as meetings go. We got a lot of really big projects coming in, starting this week. Next week as well. We got a few different crypto coins that we're starting up right now with a couple companies that are in the oil and gas industry. We got a full website redesign branding for a DNA company that's going to be hopefully starting next week. I had the first initial consultation with them yesterday, and they're going to be setting up a meeting with the owners for next week, which is going to be pretty cool and exciting. And then I got some other big projects coming in with a buddy Odie of mine from this one guy's the largest commercial farming real estate developer in Canada. So we got a meeting with him later today at 2:00. So yeah, it's this big, it's like the New Year's resolution of business kind of kicks in, right? All these people that have been either looking to start something or looking to do updates and edits and modifications to their projects, they wait for the new year because it's like, it's new year, new aspect for business. So I did notice a big spike last year around this time of the year, and the same trend is happening, right? Like December's the month of like nothing happens. It's like, we'll wait till next year, right? Now it's that time.
Speaking of the New Year's stuff, how are the gyms down there? Have you noticed any madness in there?
So actually, I had a conversation with I forget who it was, one of my friends, and there was zero spike in gym activity in New Year's here, and it's because all the healthy, fit people are already here. All the unhealthy people are the ones that are traveling here on holidays. So like they're not be like, oh, it's New Year's resolution, better go to the gym while I'm on my holiday. So it's there was no spike in gym memberships. But Isaac, how you doing, brother?
What's up, ladies?
Yeah, what's up, man? What's going on?
How are y'all?
Good, man. It's nice to meet you. I know we're still here bullshitting about the weather and New Year's resolutions before you hopped on. So
that's fine. That's fine. I'm here for it. You guys are the first interview so far this year, so jam.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Where are you located right now? I see you're from. I mean, I lived in Fort Lauderdale for 15 years, so I've been all up and down fucking Florida. So right now.
Yeah, I'm in Arkansas right now, Little Rock specifically. So a few years ago, left Jacksonville, lived in California for a little bit. Met my fiance online on Twitter actually, and flew out here, and I've been here for the past it's good. What about
dude? That's funny. Of all places, I'm going to be in Bentonville in a few weeks. I was there once already. It's like in that little corner by Missouri or whatever. It's where Walmart's from, I guess. And I'm like, people are like, what? Why are you going to Arkansas for a work trip? And I'm like, I fucking loved it, dude. It was awesome. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Little Rock, but the part I was in was like really, really cool because you hear stuff like Idaho, Arkansas. You're like, Then I got there. I was like, dude, this is cool as shit. There's like nice bars everywhere. Everybody's those big fucking houses. It was awesome.
Cheap. Like my office is $650 a month. You can get a $400,000 house here that anywhere else in the States would be probably $800,000. And like if you want to spend a lot of money and get an $800,000 house, that is like a $2 million house in Jacksonville or anywhere else. Like depending on where you go, land is also really cheap too. So you could buy literally 100 acres for like $1 million or less, have your own creek, your own pond, your own river. Like it's cool. And plus the income taxes have dropped too. So the governor came in, dropped the income tax on a personal and corporate level. So it's like the economy's taking off. People are moving in. It's nice, man. I mean, I'm looking at the river over here to my right. And so, I mean, it has a skyline, like this is one angle of it, but I'm not mad about it at all,
It's an overlooked thing for sure. I was actually wondering if that was like a background or if that's your real, so that's your real office view right there.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude. I love it. That's awesome.
There's something to be said about having an office. Like, I mean, I have my at-home office right now, which is like, comfortable. I got my screens and my lights, and my, recording studio stuff set up, but like actually having like a physical office kind of has like this feeling to it where it's like, all right, this is my place of work, right? But I also like the style of work that I do because I'm always traveling. I'm in, Colombia and different parts of America and Canada and Mexico and stuff like that. So I like the mobility and the freedom of the nomad lifestyle. But every now and then I'm like, God, I was thinking about even renting an office space here in Mexico. I'm like, it'd be cool just to have like a base, right? Like an office. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, so me and Isaac actually, I think we only met on Facebook through different marketing groups and network groups like that. So we've never actually personally met in person, but I've always seen a lot of his content, his podcast recordings, just the information he puts out there. And it's always been very, uplifting, positive, inspiring. You're spreading more love than you do spread hate, which is a great thing, what we need in the world as well. And I guess, I really want to have you on here because primarily most of our interviews that we've had on this podcast show has been primarily women. We've had a lot of females coming on here. And I was thinking about the other day, I'm like, we need to get some men on our podcast show as well too. So we wanted to reach out to a bunch of men that we knew that were, leaders in their field. And I mean, you've done things that, you've had a lot of network marketing experience. You have your consulting group, you have your branding and your podcast as well. So maybe just give us a bit of a rundown as to, what started you into this kind of realm of the online entrepreneurship, and then what was one of the first things you kind of got into?
I think the best way I could describe that experience and the reason why is frankly trauma, but not in a victimhood mentality kind of way, but trauma in terms of, mom not having the money to get her teeth fixed, mom not having the money to buy the nice clothes, going to Walmart, going to thrift stores, mom not having the money for insurance, right? Mom not having the time to spend with me because she was working. Growing up, I saw a lot about what the lack of money would do to a person. And it ultimately led to my grandfather's death. I mean, they basically had to sell their house because the roof was caving in, because when they had the money, they didn't spend it on fixing the roof. Ultimately, blew tarps on the roof. That's a major code violation, $250 fine every day. How could somebody on disability possibly pay that? And now we could have a conversation about the bureaucracy side of things and about how messed up that system can be politically. But getting involved with business was my solution. It was honestly probably the most difficult path that I could have chosen either. When you think about my experience in school, I was a straight A student. I had a 4.44 weighted GPA by the time I graduated, top 10 in my class, very book smart, never needed to cheat, but when I got into the older grades, I was like, AP chemistry, I don't even know why I signed up for this. I hate this, right? But then I had this idea in my mind, okay, I'm going to go to college. My mom went back and got her master's in business, didn't use it, didn't apply herself. So I'm going to go for a marketing degree or a public relations degree or a degree in business. And what am I going to do with that? I'm going to have to spend 2 years of my life taking these prerequisites, taking biology, taking algebra, none of the things that would actually matter in the actual world and grand scope of things. And I stumbled in the industry of network marketing early on. I saw these younger guys that I thought were making good money. Now, how much of that was smoke and how much of that was mirrors? That's up for debate, considering a lot of them are, pieces of crap now today. But I saw it as a way to get that mentorship that I lacked growing up in terms of finances, in terms of personal development. Nobody in my life, put on the Tony Robbins tapes, or I didn't have a parent who was, encouraging me to listen to audios or take mentorship. Now I had that through Boy Scouts, through church. And yes, I was an avid reader, but it wasn't the same, right? There's a difference between having that church theological personal development and let's go ahead and dive in and think about things from a strategic point of view, or studying Bob Proctor or Earl Nightingale. And network marketing was ultimately that thing that kind of exposed me. And my first business trip was to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I had dinner with the vice president of the network marketing company because he was so impressed with the 70 hours of travel time that I was going out of my way to do in order to be at that event. And from that industry, I left it. I rejoined the company like a year later, did 3 different network marketing companies 4 different times, went into music management, podcast management. And then ultimately I realized that I kind of have a knack for personal branding. And when you have enough people coming to you and asking you for advice, maybe that's an indicator that you have, I don't want to go as far as saying a God-given gift, but you have an ability to think or strategize or I suppose forecast out strategies and steps that could be taken in order to achieve that optimal goal, whether that means that the person wants to become famous for vanity, they want to make money for, financial benefit, or they want to very simply be purpose driven and reach and impact more people. Today, I'm really blessed to kind of have all of that experience and be able to have some really good people in my network. And that's a really quick summation, I suppose.
I like what you said too about just having like a natural talent for something, or it started to feel natural. People started coming to you because you were so good at what you'd done before, because a lot of people ignore that. They're like, well, this is too easy for me, or it feels like it's too easy for me. So there's no way I'm going to make money doing this. Like, it's supposed to be hard. Like, this is supposed to be hard. And a lot of people overlook that, because what might be easy for me or for you to do or for Sean to do is really hard for somebody else, and they're willing to pay for it. And I do it all the time. Of like, well, it only takes me a few minutes to do this. I can't charge this much money for it. I'm like, well, you can, but people overlook that all the time. We all think that no, it's got to be hard, otherwise I'm not worth it, So I really like that that you recognize that early on.
And I think, one of the things you said there as well, like, because you had a gift, and one of the best things I've ever heard of saying is, like, some of the best businesses out there to start up or to like really dive into is when you have a problem, people come to you with a problem and you have the solution for it. So you're also solving your own problem, because you were strategizing your own life, planning how to get ahead, how to make sure that, you didn't end up like in a situation growing up where their money was an issue and you couldn't afford this, couldn't afford that. So you basically brand strategized your own self, your own life, and then we were able to be successful and go through the education and learn and reach out to these networking companies and these events and being mentored by some of the owners and stuff like that. So you utilize your own life, experiences as your own brand specialist, and then formulate that into actually a business of helping with branding. So that's really cool. So when did you start when did you transition out of the network marketing industries that you've been in and moved more towards the network or the branding side of things? Well, when did that transition take place?
Yeah, and I would like to say too, it took me a while to fully step into the consulting realm, because there's no shortage. I mean, I was just on Instagram and I got an advertisement, and this dude has like hoop earrings and a neck tattoo and a backwards hat, and he's like 6-figure earner, Inc. 5,000 company, and I'm like, you buy that? Like, what are you talking about, man? So it took me a long time to feel comfortable even calling myself a consultant. I mean, that's part of the reason why in 2020, when I was in the music industry and I was managing musical talent right before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit, and we decided to cancel one of the concerts. I was going to fly out to Fort Wayne, Indiana from California, and the artist eventually lost his passion, and I came to the realization that the only way to make money in the music industry is, number one, by screwing somebody over with an aggressive 360 deal, or number two, you have to take it to a very high degree, because artists don't get paid for their streams. That's not where the bulk of their money comes from. Snoop Dogg was on an interview, and he's like, I got paid, I think, $40,000 from Spotify, and it's like, that's pennies on the dollar when you compare that to the deals that he gets from advertisements, from sponsorships, from touring. And touring is one of the best ways for an artist to make money. So I left that industry. And then in 2020, I launched Mashman Ventures, my public relations firm, which I dissolved earlier. Well, I say this year, but last year, because it just wasn't working. It didn't feel right. I woke up one day and my fiance said, come on, get up. You're the CEO of Mashman Ventures. I'm like, okay. I didn't feel anything. And I knew that was when I kind of needed something to, I suppose, re-spark that and to kind of get a clearer vision. And it just, even though I called it a public relations firm, and essentially what we were doing was consulting, it was personal brand consulting, but public relations as an industry is so broad. You can talk about from crisis management, writing press releases, corporate communications, executive branding, thinking about reputation management, working with the branding and marketing components of a company to make sure that the image of that business or that person is properly reflected. So public relations has a huge grandiose scope, but I was still focusing and targeting on personal branding, and it wasn't any of the pay to win press or the let's get you featured in Forbes kind of thing. It was still a holistic, organic approach of how can we go ahead and position you as a public figure, and then from there help opportunities come to you rather than you finding those opportunities yourself. And so I dissolved that firm publicly, made the announcement, and then I launched Mashman Consulting Group in July of 2024. And my idea from MCG is to build the #1 personal brand consultancy worldwide by the year 2035. I mean, we have McKinsey and Boston Consulting Group. These are massive business management consulting firms that work with governments. When you think about the opioid crisis, a lot of that was due to McKinsey, right? The people who are pulling the strings behind the scenes, except I want to be building out my own personal brand to a very high level while also helping clients and other people. But the thing is, I didn't get started in personal brand consulting. It wasn't like, let me go ahead and sell a course teaching you how to sell a course. It was, okay, let me build out my personal brand. And what I realized, y'all, is, man, I sound country. I talk about being from, living in Arkansas, and I'm saying y'all in a podcast interview. But
yeah, I heard a few y'alls now. I'm like, oh yeah, y'all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, need to adjust that. But one of the big things is really understanding how I could position myself and position MCG as one of a kind, because the personal branding space lacks any certification. It lacks any guidance. So Edward Bernays is called the father of public relations, right? He's the person who worked with the governments. He's the reason why women started smoking. He's the reason why we have the big all-American breakfast with eggs and bacon and everything else. He was the person pulling the strings. And one of the things and one of the criticisms he had of public relations later on in his life was that there wasn't any certification process, so anybody could call themselves a professional. And today in personal branding, we have these people that are like, let me get you in Forbes. Let me go ahead and grow your Instagram account. Let me go ahead and get you this award or that award. And all of it lacks character and it lacks any true credibility. So I would much rather be the person who can, with an ethical backbone and a moral compass, say, no, this is how you can go from a nobody to a somebody, because I did it myself. And then here are the case studies of other people who I've helped optimize and get results in their own life.
Especially during the pandemic. Anybody can call themselves anything.
Yeah.
I could open an Instagram account and I'm a social media marketer. Yes, there are degrees for that and there's some certifications, but not many. There's the barrier of entry to the industry as a whole, the broader industry of just marketing and branding is just need a smartphone. That's it. And it's been so irritating. And it's taken a long time to weed out those people. I think now we're finally starting to see that because things slowed down this last summer. It's the election cycle in the US, everything else. Business has kind of come back down again. Now we're finally starting to see the people that are still around now are the ones that are making it through. Let me back up a little bit because you said you dissolved your firm. Is that the first big thing you had going on where you decided I just need to shift this? And the reason I ask is because I'm on my seventh business, and the first couple were devastating, and then after that I'm now just this isn't working. Let's just do something else. It becomes easier, and I don't want to use the word failure because it all kind of builds on the last one. You kind of learn a lot, but how did that feel when you went through
that? That was the first business that I took the steps to get the actual paperwork to make it official. So, and that taught me something entirely different. I mean, you don't go to school and they don't teach you about having articles of organization or having, any agreements or operating agreements or getting an EIN number. All of that is the detailed aspects of business that you don't get taught. So you kind of have to shuffle through and figure out. It was a major shift for sure, but it gave me a huge sense of relief because I felt like I had this dread, and it came off of a horror story with a client who just ended up harassing me and everybody in my life. I'm telling you, the past couple of years have really taught me so much into how I'm shaping myself and how I'm presenting myself. For example, Sean shot me over the questions, and I'm like, I don't want to know the questions. I want to go free for all because that's where I thrive. But without those experiences and without all of those struggles or hardships or, client horror stories, so to speak, I wouldn't be where I am today with the guidance that I don't want to use the word guidance, but with the vision that I have laid out in front of me. And I've been having a lot of introspection lately about why am I even doing this? Because I'm not one of those people who wakes up in the morning and I feel inspired. I have to force myself out of bed. I'm not one of those people that's I love life. Frankly, I find life boring. So I'm finding all of these reasons for why I'm building the business that are kind of giving me something to work for and work towards because, idle hands do the devil's work. I mean, we've all heard that phrase. And I feel like business is that way for me to have fun. And so business is even less about scaling something big and more the emotions and the feelings that I'm getting from scaling that thing. And so whenever Mashman Ventures wasn't having any fun and it felt more like a burden, that was really some indicative moments that something else needed to happen in order for me to kind of get back on the bandwagon.
Yeah, I noticed that too. So this is probably my second kind of online job. I did network marketing, affiliate marketing for 4 or 5 years, was fairly successful in it, but like you said, I started losing the fun out of it. It became more of a repetitious kind of I have to do this. And it made me actually, kind of leave it all behind. I went back to the traditional, working on, as an equipment operator and then sites superintendent foreman. And I think that's a really key point you put in there is business and work should be your form of excitement in your life. Not the only form. I think there's obviously more forms of excitement. You should have hobbies and going on trips and adventures, and your relationships and connections that you have with people. Those need to be fun too. But if you just look at the amount of people that I've known in my life that they are working a job and they're doing something that they absolutely don't like to do, but they have the mentality is, I have to do this. This is all I know. And that really drains a lot of your life, because you spend at minimum 40 hours a week in most jobs. So that's 80 hours or 160 hours a month. And then you're spending 8 hours a day hating your life or hating what you do. So when you're in these positions, and I want to really acknowledge you for the fact of having that intuition, being this isn't fun for me anymore, and I need to change. A lot of people, they have that feeling this isn't fun for me anymore, and then the feeling just leaves. They just go, well, let's do it again tomorrow. Yeah. So it takes a lot of courage to be able to have that intuitive feeling in your body and in your mind, being this isn't for me anymore. I need to do something different, and actually making the change in the steps.
It's the the United States problem we have of work 40 hours till you're 50 something, and then yell at cable news till you die. That's basically the plan that we've had ingrained in us. So I'm in my late 40s now, but yeah, dude, but it is remarkable though. There's two types of people I don't necessarily trust. The ones that say, I love everything I do. I can't wait to get out of bed. I can't wait. I'm like, shut up. And the other ones that are just super miserable all the time. I'm like, I can't deal with that either. So just acknowledging some of this is fun, some of it's not.
Well, frankly, a lot of it too came down to optimization. And look at my business. What is my business? My business is helping people with their personal brand and optimizing it, whether that be for visibility, securing the same social media handles, and taking that macroscopic view about, okay, how you appear is going to influence first impressions. And then you have to think about visibility, SEO, artificial engine optimization. There are so many aspects that go into personal branding. So I'm able to literally sit down and change a person's life. And if I was to sit down with you, Lee, or sit down with you, Sean, and say, all right, well, why don't you go ahead and change your marketing message? And that marketing message somewhere down the line lands you one client. You instantly paid for the ROI of working with me, on top of landing a new podcast interview, a press feature, a speaking opportunity, publishing your book and having it, improve your own perception. And now you're a published author. So there are a lot of nuances about what I do to where I'm really helping somebody completely change their life and their trajectory of their career. And I suppose part of the reason why I increased my rates lately is people don't understand necessarily what I'm even offering in terms of the potential ROI, because you could work with somebody and hire a marketing agency and think about how much businesses and owners spend on social media agencies. They can spend $12,000, but if their marketing message isn't optimized, if they don't have a good profile, if they can't even be found on Google or with a search, and you're paying $12,000 or 5 figures a month for an agency to market you, your conversions are going to suck. And then you look like everybody else online. But now imagine if we take one of these gurus, right, or one of these people, and now all of a sudden you Google their name, they have a knowledge panel, they show up, they dominate the search, they have press that is legitimate, they've written articles, they have a website, they have all of their testimonials, and just there's so many other things that we could do to really help position somebody. Now they don't have to struggle through all of the objections that they would get or be called a guru or be called a scammer. It's no, my track record speaks for myself, and your track record should do the same exact thing. Just like if you go and find a restaurant to eat at, you're going to look up the reviews first before you ever walk in the door, right? Or the same thing with getting an endorsement and having somebody talk about, hey, Isaac is the number one guy in personal branding, or hi, Brad is the number one social media agency owner, or the number one, water feature expert. I spoke at a water feature event in October, and those endorsements and edification is the thing that lifts you up above the rest, where everybody else online who's creating content, what's separating you from them? It's very hyper competitive. And now I believe that more and more people are going to try to become influencers and creatives. I mean, we have fit grandmothers making protein recipes on the internet, and you have this young guy who's starting out as a model or starting out as a fitness trainer competing with all of these people from all of these different demographics and age groups. And really, I think the master key, if we're talking about, Charles Haanel's master key system, or like Napoleon Hill's, secret of success, the secret of success in terms of personal branding is how you position yourself. And if you position yourself as a public figure to where, hey, the strategy show, the Strat show is the number one show for business people to listen to get strategies, detailed strategic value, right? Not just value. You can be motivated and get value, but I'm talking strategic value. that helps you position yourself to where now somebody comes back and listens because they're getting something in return. And then we're talking about the deliverables, because just like a business has deliverables, your personal brand is also delivering on something.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I mean, there's so many key factors to differentiate yourself and separate you from the rest, because like you said, we're in a market now, in an industry, like every market, every industry is just getting flooded with more and more people that are trying to dive into it. They want to be influencers, they want to be marketers, they want to be social media. And like Justin, or like Lee was saying as well, I know I always
have two names, so just ignore that part. Yeah,
I caught myself this time.
Yeah, I'll cut this part out. But so my real first name's Justin, but I started going by Lee when I opened my latest business. And Sean, every show, he says it, and then I have to like, okay. So anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Leave that in. That's a good moment.
Yeah. Every show, no matter what. But yeah, we're in an industry and in a time in our lives where there's just so many people that are going to the online world, and there's so much competition. You really have to dive into like, how do you differentiate yourself? What makes you better than someone else? Why does someone choose you as opposed to someone who's already established and has their own career and they have their big following? So really, what you do is really helping identify people and leveraging their knowledge and like you said, positioning them as an authority figure. Because like, we've had a few clients we worked with like their website design or email marketing, stuff like that, and they only have an Instagram or they only have a LinkedIn. So if anyone tries to search them on Google, they try and find their website, they try and find them on Twitter, they're unfound. So it just, people really buy off of who they know, like, and trust. And if they can't find you to begin to know you, they're not going to like you, they're not going to trust you. So you have to really like give people, like you said, with the reviews, right? If you book a hotel room, you check on the ratings and the rankings, you look at the reviews. Same with a restaurant, you look at the reviews. So people, when they're deciding to work with you and partner with you or choose you as their agency, choose you as their coach or whatever it might be, they're going to look for those reviews. They're going to look for those credibilities. They're going to look for those podcast episodes you're on or whatever it might be. So having a strategy that what you do is really helping them identify their messaging, their targeting, their deliverables, all that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very vital point. And I've actually personally, I've turned down website projects before because they didn't have their brand set up. Right? I've said, well, what's your branding like? What's your messaging? Do you have your color schemes? Do you have your palettes, your fonts? Do you have your messaging? Like, what's your ideal target audience? And if they come to me and they said, I don't have that yet, then I direct them to someone that does branding, because we have a branding specialist in our agency as well. Or I say, hey, come back to you and you have branding if you don't want to choose the guy that we work with. Because the worst thing I want is they don't give me the tools that I need. I build something off of what I think they want, and they're like, this is not what I want. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
Right. So branding is like the bedrock, the foundation to business. And until you have branding, you can't be building websites and retargeting and refurbishing. You should be coming up with your courses and creative and your products and stuff like that. You need to have your strategy and your branding done first.
This market's so saturated, man. I mean, this is kind of like a lateral question, but how do you feel about, I hate to say it, but I got to bring it up, the artificial intelligence, all the platforms, what kind of impact does that have on what you do? I mean, look, copywriters, those jobs are kind of on their way out anyway. Is AI as good as a human being? No, but it's not going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's not like it's getting worse every day. So how has that either made your systems more efficient or impacted you overall, do you think?
Frankly, artificial intelligence is, I would say, it's a weapon, actually, in a good way. In a good way, kind of one of those things that I don't really think that artificial intelligence will ever result in some Terminator, Skynet kind of scenario where the AI turns on us. Now, I saw this great video on Instagram, and the guy was using ChatGPT to program this robotic pressurized gun. It was like a fake gun. I was like, that's a scary use of AI, but it's like the military already has that to search and attack people. It's, you think about the ballistic missiles that they had in World War II or heading into Vietnam and everything. It's like those missiles would follow the heat signature and track through. I mean, Earl Nightingale in the 60s mentioned that in one of his video or one of audio trainings. But I think artificial intelligence is creating a lot of false confidence, because now people think they can do anything just by having ChatGPT on their side and getting advice. And so it's like, I contributed to an article earlier this year. I gave my quote was used on Forbes talking about, will AI replace consultants? And I don't think so, because the one thing about consultancy and being that person who they can go to and ask questions is you have that emotional human touch, and you could see the broader scope. So now if a consultant is able to integrate artificial intelligence and having this super machine, this quantum computer virtually in their pockets and in their hands, they can become vastly more efficient. So for example, several years ago, and I would try to come up with a marketing message for a person, we'd go through a list of synonyms on Google and say, which one do you want to describe you the most, right? Which one do you like? Now I'm able to pull up ChatGPT and we're on a live consulting call and I'm able to say, give me synonyms for this. Okay, what phrases could we incorporate that might invoke this particular feeling? And now it's able to pull an entire list of things together that I'm able to say, all right, what do you think about this? Okay, and then it's up to me to take that piece of information that it generated and apply it to the broader marketing message and to the overall strategy. Then we're talking about artificial engine optimization. That's something that I think a lot of people are going to talk about. You have SEO, right? Search engine optimization. But what about artificial engine optimization? So for example, you should be able to hear this. Let me give you guys a real example here. Alexa, who is Isaac Mashman?
Florida. He is an editor and director, known for Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman and Business Nostalgia.
Okay, so that is an example of using AI to enhance my search. It's the same thing with ChatGPT or any of the other AI systems and models. You're able to search me up. And then the other thing is, if you were to go to ChatGPT and doing your own research, doing your own papers, doing your own, maybe you're wanting to make a buying or hiring decision and you search up top personal branding experts, if you can pop up on ChatGPT's list of top 100 or top 50 or top 10 experts in a particular field, you made it, because now you don't know how many queries people are searching every single day for that specific thing. And so I think AI is number one. It's providing a lot of optimization in terms of efficiency and having the exact steps. And I think it's also opening up an entire spectrum of really taking things to a new level. And if you could use ChatGPT, you could probably go into ChatGPT right now and you could have it reverse engineer my own personal brand and take those steps and apply it to your own, and you'd be able to see results.
I started as a copywriter, and a lot of those people that refuse to use it, it's never going to be as good as us. I'm not even going to learn how to use it. Well, they're all asking me for jobs now because you can't hide from it. But I like everything you just said. I have the same positive outlook. I think, like as a world, we're going to be much better, especially when it starts helping with medical sciences, and like that way we're not doing one controlled study at Stanford and then one at MIT, and they're not talking all the advancements that we can make the human race better, but just on our daily basis. You know how much time that stuff saves me? Like you just said, the research would have been the same. It's just now I'm getting it in 10 seconds versus spending 4 hours working on something. Sean's run into some stuff too with web development and everything else. It just makes things faster. And when the day comes that it does everything that we do, tactically anyway, you're right. I think the pendulum's still going to swing back towards real human connections, because there are going to be those people out there that want to log into an app that have like an AI assistant or coach or something like that, or AI marketer or whatever. You will have that subset of the population, but there are going to be a lot of people that are like, you know what, I just really want to talk to a human being. So I'm not worried. There's going to be a market for everybody. Everybody's going to be okay, provided that you learn how to use the tools and you stay up with the technology. So I have an optimistic outlook as well.
We're not even talking about other use cases for AI, right? We were talking about language models, but we're not talking about podcast editing software that can automatically change the frequency, change the pitch, get the sound denoised, all of that. We're not talking about video editing software that's able to pull images from Google or create an image and then put that into the video. Or, Captions AI is the software that I use for most all of my short form vertical videos. And it's able to edit and transcribe with a 99% accuracy rate from what I've seen. And then it's able to pull and put images in there. And then it's able to do focus zooms and all of these other things, to where a couple years ago, I would have had to pay a video editor to edit all of my videos. And it would have taken them hours to do compared to 30 seconds to generate. And then we're talking about web design, and GoDaddy has an AI tool, Squarespace has an AI tool where you're able to input some pieces of information. And yeah, might it lack that unique flair? Yes. But then that's where another web developer is able to use that to do the heavy lifting of changing the heading, changing the, and moving all of the buttons and the things that are very tedious in web design. I built my websites years ago, so I know what it's like. And then now you're able to work off of the work that it's already done. And now you've saved yourself a bunch of time, and you could possibly present an even better result because you used AI to set the backbone, and then it's up to you to optimize and make the tweaks. So really what we're talking about is integrating AI to where now we can optimize every single thing about our business and every single thing about our life. Brian Johnson, the founder of Blueprint, the guy who's trying to live to 100 people, or not live to 100, but who's trying not to die, right? Don't die. People talk crap about him, but they don't realize that he is basically hacking, not biohacking, but he's hacking life because he has an algorithm that makes decisions for him. So he's able to input all of this information, all of this data, and make decisions without having the emotional crutch that makes us human, because emotions, for example, eating a pack of Oreos or a bag of Doritos, we're not driven by logic when we open up that bag of Doritos or Oreos. We are driven by emotion, hunger, those primal instincts. And primal instincts can prevent us from getting hit by a car or getting shot or walking, off a cliff. But it's also the thing that leads us to make very bad decisions. And so now if you can incorporate AI to do those logical decision making for you, it's really fascinating to think about how much our society will rely on AI over the next 2 decades, for that matter.
I think it'll hurt some it will make some people lazier, I think, like not having to think as much. But for people that are creative, I think it'll help, because I'm not burning all the mental bandwidth on all the dumb shit all morning, like we were saying, like you're looking up like synonyms for things like that. We get all that out of the way, and I can actually focus what little brain cells I have left on actual like the real stuff that needs to, but it'll go the other way too, where people just get lazy. They won't learn how to write or anything else. Hey, but look, society, everybody will have their place.
I mean, the question that I would like to have is, like, for anyone that is going to be watching this, obviously for subscribers, people that are tuning in, listening either through Spotify, YouTube, and other channels we have like Apple Podcasts. If someone wants information about to reach out to you for branding, consultation, strategy, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you? As well as we're going to obviously put in your handles and your information inside the notes on YouTube as well. But what's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they want a consultation call with you?
I am really easy to find. You can go to Google and find me on any social media platform. You could also go to my website, mashmancg.com, or my personal website, isaacmashman.com. There's a really cool chat bot that you're able to click on and answer a few questions, and it'll take you to an exclusive overview presentation for Mashman Consulting Group. And if I could leave everybody with, I suppose, one word of really specific strategic, right? The Strat show, it would be to perform a personal brand audit. And whenever you're performing a personal brand audit for yourself, you're looking for 3 things. You're looking for, number 1, omnipresence, which is how you show up, where you show up, right? Being able to be found everywhere. And omnipresence is typically referred to when we're talking about God. God is everywhere all the time. Well, your personal brand, in the least sacrilegious way possible, needs to be everywhere all the time, to where people can find you, because you're thinking about your personal brand as a separate entity. When you're asleep, you still have a personal brand that is working for you. People are able to find you. Whenever you wake up and you check your email and you see somebody hitting you up for a business, somebody who is inviting you to go on their podcast or requesting a quote, right? That is effectively your own strategist, your own publicist walking with you side by side your entire life. So number 1 is omnipresence. Number 2 is visibility, right? And making sure that you're showing up on multitudes of places. And the third and final thing is having a seamless brand. So that looks a couple of different ways. Number 1, having a unique marketing message. So Addicted to Coffee and Standards, I help emerging and established public figures optimize and scale their personal brands. That is my marketing message. It has a personal hook and a professional punchline. So creating your own unique marketing message to where, hey, I design kick-ass websites for X, Y, and Z, or I am the premier go-to for X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be, and having some personal aspect, right? Whether that being addicted to coffee, being a major nerd, being a Star Wars fan, I don't care what it is, having something that is personal that can build rapport with your audience, because people do want to connect with the person. And the other thing is making sure that you appear the same way. So securing the same social media handle, having the same domain, having, the same way that you show up on your book. So for example, if you go to Google and type in Isaac Mashman, it's only me. I have @Isaac Mashman on every social media handle. I have isaacmashman.com on my book. It is Isaac Mashman. But if you do not have the unique name that I have, you might want to incorporate your middle name. So whether your name is, like, for example, you don't want to go by John Doe, but you could go by John Zachariah Doe, and now you start showing up, or John Z Doe. So these are really simple steps that you can take to kind of get an idea of where your personal brand stands today, and then what steps you can take to be, even the slightest changes to your social media can help you position yourself. And then you use content as your marketing vehicle to where now you can reach the masses and potentially billions of people over the next, couple of years, couple of months, however long you want to play this game. But your personal brand is something that is never destroyed. You have it until you die, and then even after you're dead, you still have a personal brand.
Right. And you can change directions.
Exactly. You can pivot.
Like if I decide to open a different business tomorrow, it's the same name. Well, I mean, unless I go by my other name that Sean mentioned earlier. But dude, it was nice meeting you. I will be in Arkansas in a few weeks in Bentonville, which is probably nowhere near where you're at, but I will be up there in the cold. So, Sean, anything else you want to throw in?
As always, people that are listening, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to our channel. Click the links, show some free love and support. And Isaac, it's been a pleasure to have you on here. A lot of information that there's a lot of new pieces that you explained to me that kind of got me like, oh, that's a really good fucking idea. But then there's a lot of it that I've heard before in the past. And it's been so long since I've heard it again, so it's been a great refresher. A lot of good insight, good value, and I think you were a great addition to the Strat show.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man. Love it. All right, guys. Go have fun. It's early in the morning. Let's get a hard day of work in, and to be continued, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.